Well, hey everybody, this is Jamey here at Mittler Brothers, and we've got a special guest with us today, Sean Rose, and we're going to do a little segment called Between Two Bead Rollers. And so what we're going to do is just kind of talk and work and have a good time, and Sean's going to tell us everything he knows about bead rolling, and I'm going to try to tell you everything I don't know about bead rolling, and we're going to have a good time. So let's get going, man. You brought a really cool panel for us over here.
Yeah, I decided to bring out a tiki piece. I have a late friend, Greg Miller, who I can thank him for how much I've grown. He supported me from when I was not very well known, and I want to do a tiki piece today to honor him. So.
Yeah, Greg was a really great guy. You know, Scraping the Coast has been a big show, and it influenced a lot of us over the years. And I remember going to the first one years ago in a little soccer field. So it's a good to be a part of this, and and really try to help him and honor Greg for what he did, in our community, as well as for everybody that he's touched. And so thank you for doing that piece for me. It means a lot to a lot of people. So, but all right. So what we're gonna do is he's gonna be working on that one, and I'm gonna kind of practice a little bit on this one, and then I'm gonna do another one back here. And while we do that, we're just gonna sit and talk a little bit and have some fun. So, well, right now I'm just working on practicing tight little circles because I've got to do Cadillac logo here. And so we're gonna do this one. And if I don't mess it up, we're gonna give it to one of you guys, and you guys can have it. So we'll figure that out later. But what we're gonna do is I'm just gonna practice moving this around a little bit. And we both got tipping dies on. I've got steel tipping die up top and a Nylotron lower die, and he's got the same on his as well, right?
Yeah, yep. I'm working on just the line work on the tiki. I got a few other details I want to filter in with the tipping die, and then I'll go over with the stencil die.
Okay, so tell me, I see your panel's got gray on it, so you like to roll on top of the metal, right?
Yeah, I've gotten comfortable with using PVC coating. I know not everybody has the availability with their metal supplier. With who I have, it's something an option I can use.
Yeah.
For me, it helps with not having mistakes while you're working. Easy cleanup. Mainly, all you have is just the residue from the glue. You peel it right off and then clean it up and either ship it out or hand it to the person you're making it for.
There you go. So, is there somewhere special that you could tell someone where they can find that?
Who I go through is metal supermarkets.
And you're located where at?
I'm just outside of Chicago.
There you go. So
with them, their delivery is next day, if not 2 days out. They've been very cooperative. They've, just like Mittler Brothers, they've been very supportive of my brand and what I'm doing. Good pricing, very nice people. But yeah, just like me and Jamey have talked before, it's all your preference. You don't have to have this. You don't have to have it uncovered. Whatever you want to do that makes you more comfortable, makes you feel like you're going to have better quality at the end, I'd say go for it.
Yeah. So when I started, I was building a lot of seats, and I was peeling the plastic off where I needed it just to be able to do the work I needed. And then when I got into doing the bead rolling years ago, I would just peel it right off and just kind of go for it. And I would draw with a Sharpie right on and then just kind of polish it back up. But there's a lot of work in keeping that panel from getting really messed up.
Right.
That doesn't actually have to be necessary, when you can just use the plastic like you're doing now.
Now, the one thing I'm going to suggest with anybody that wants to use the plastic, just to be on the safe side,
give us some tips.
You have to get comfortable with your tipping die. There's a big difference from what Jamey's doing right now to what I'm doing, because your tipping die is not making contact immediately. Once you find your happy medium, you're going to make your mark, and it's going to be there the way you want it to be there.
Yeah, so what you're saying is that, when I'm using this on just raw aluminum, when I make contact, I'm there. And so in my mind, I have to anticipate where that stop and that start's going to be, because I know where that die is going to happen and where that mark is. And for him, he's got to just pull that back some.
Yeah.
Or add that to
right.
some, you know what I mean? Try to work that difference in there for yourself.
Yeah. And what, like the panel Jamey's working on, take a piece of scrap. Learn. Don't jump at a full project like this right away, because you're going to make mistakes.
Oh yeah.
What you have to do is really anticipate what you're doing and be comfortable with what you're
doing. Yeah, and that's another thing that I've tried to talk to a lot of people about whenever they're wanting to buy a machine or when they get a machine. one of the first things I tell them is do not go home and do that big project you anticipated doing, you know, the whole time you dreamed of this machine. We all sit on social media and see people do really neat things, and we get these ideas in our head that we could do it too, only if we had that tool. And then sometimes we get home and we go after stuff, we go after what they're doing, or, you know, or try to go after this bigger idea or project. And one of the things that I try to recommend for most people to do whenever they get a machine is just grab you something where you can mark out a bunch of circles, you know, straight lines and circles, you know, things that flow in and out of each other. And teaching yourself how to use this tip and die where you've got this small blade here and running around on that line is gonna be pretty much the best tool you can use to hone your skills when it comes to just getting used to that, following the line.
Right.
Whether that be an edge of a tipping die or a
It's like you
step roll.
mentioned before in other videos, having your starting and stopping dialed in, that's where you can get your best work.
Exactly. And then, like this little panel I'm doing here, I mean, it's got circles that overlap each other, and it looks like just a bunch of circles, but yet, if you kind of can look at it more as like almonds, I can sit and do stops and starts as I go.
Right.
And I can sit here and practice and get myself comfortable before I sit down on my panel that I'm about to do, because there's nothing worse than really getting into a panel and you really like the way it's going, and then you just do something that you just didn't want to happen.
Right.
You know what I mean? And you know, you maybe either got in a hurry or maybe you should have just thought about that turn, because sometimes when we're doing these panels, we don't think about those turns as you're going into them. Is that the same amount of pressure I need coming in or coming out of that? You
Right.
know what I mean? And sometimes that, a lot of people struggle when they go to make those little tight radiuses. And
The one thing that I've learned in the last 2 years since I've owned my Mittler machine is people, you know, they want lettering done, they want certain things done, and I've learned, like with basic lettering, you know, once you start to get under the 3-inch tall mark, it starts to be, can you really get the detail you want?
there you go.
And you have to know your limits. So, you know, similar to tattooing, similar to any type of proportioning.
And you reference proportioning there, and when you were talking about the letters, I see, whenever I'm looking at lettering and whenever I see it when I have to do it, I'm the same way with you. I'm gonna have to make a decision after I get anywhere smaller than like 3 or 2.5 or 2. You know, every time you get into that smaller level of number, or, you know, like what we're looking at on the side of this machine here, you know, even this size.
Right.
Once you start getting into those small sizes, you're moving less metal. And the key to bead rolling is to move the metal.
Right.
You know, especially when we're wanting to get it to lift up or to represent something. So you have to remember how much metal you're leaving there to stretch.
My ultimate goal has always been, is it legible?
Yeah.
And if it's clean, it's legible, I feel like whoever I'm making it for, or whatever event I'm making it for, they're gonna be happy with it.
Sure. And just knowing those limitations about what happens when it gets so much smaller, like you were referencing, you know, the number getting smaller. Just trying to understand how much metal you have left to move. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Because as you get those letters smaller, there's gonna be less there to actually raise up and to be legible.
Right.
That's kind of what I was doing. But so tell us about some of these events.
Now I'm
Give me some good ones.
my connection with you is I'm a mini trucker at heart.
Yeah, we both are.
Yeah, that's what inspired my passion for metalworking. I own a 1975 Chevy Luv. Prior to being into bead rolling, I know a lot of people know me from that truck. That truck is where I started to understand more about metalworking, metal shaping.
Yeah.
Someone had built my firewall, and that was the first physical example I saw in person. I go, how did you do that? And I look, you know, of course, first thing, go to YouTube, go to a website just to see, you know,
Yeah, exactly.
what do I have to do to be able to do that?
Yeah, Courtney Hollowell sent me to the Ham. I mean, my good friend Tito sent me to the Ham in 2008. It blew my mind when I first saw the first website. It was on the Ham. It was a whole lot of bead rolling, a whole lot of pictures or something like that. I mean, it was the same thing for me when I first really, you know, when I was in the season. I saw it, saw what I wanted to see, it blew my mind, and then that was that.
Right.
I had to go for it. Yeah.
I think one of the bigger groups that, you know, you started the I Love Bead Rolling page. It's so broad that you have guys that come on there just for tips for the structural panels, and then they get inspired to do more.
Yeah,
and I think that's the key to this art continuing to grow and more people continue to learn.
Yeah, the I Love Bead Rolling thing, it's kind of funny because it started out of a text message group out of people that I knew that were texting me questions about bead rolling, and the group grew to 7 or 8 to 10 people, and then I said, well, look, I'm just going to start a group on Facebook, and everyone said, that's old man stuff, don't do that. I didn't know what else to do, so I said, let's do it. So we did it, and we started it, and the only rule was, forgive me, it's just don't be a dick, and that was really it. And we've really been able to enjoy it because everyone respects each other in there.
Right.
And it's about helping, and it's not about, anyone being better than anyone else or any product being better than another product. It's just about the community of bead rolling.
Everybody respects what everybody's trying to accomplish.
Yeah. And the whole point of that was to build a community, and it's about a community of people that use this tool, and how do we keep the community going independently upon people or businesses, you know what I mean? And how do we keep it moving and keep it relevant to where it's actually helpful to people? And that was what this all started for us with the I Love Bead Rolling, and helping and doing that work.
Right.
And Steve, being able to help run it now is just unbelievable.
Yeah. Between Steve, Adam, it's just like you're telling me before, it's a good group of guys that just are in it for the same reasons, just to grow and help each other out. Yeah,
100%. And that was why we wanted you to come up here and do this hopeful first episode of our little 22 Bead Rollers. You know what I mean? We thought we'd be a good person to work with.
I appreciate the opportunity. I got a chance to meet a lot of people, and some people here actually knew who I was before I even introduced myself. And
this guy acts like people don't know it.
Yeah, it's definitely been different. I got people asking me to sign the back of a panel, but when you take pride in your work and you have passion behind your purpose, it's a big difference.
Yeah, when I first started doing it, I didn't ever really sign a lot of my work. I never did, and it kind of was just one of those things because where I started, it was starting to be one of those things where it was just I was transferred from doing seats and doing so much metal work that it just wasn't a thing to do, because it was still just metal work to me.
Yeah.
It wasn't art at that point, and a couple good friends of mine sat me down and kind of explained to me, no, you need to start taking a little bit more pride in what you're doing when you do sign, and numbering and that.
Right. And
that's something that I tell everybody, if you're actually going to do the work, figure out a way to put your mark on it, because that way everyone knows it was you, and be proud of it, and that way it's yours.
Yeah, whether it's a stamp or your physical signature.
Exactly, and that's just kind of a personal thing. I think that we should all try to just take as much pride in what we do as possible,
Right.
and putting our name on it really helps us do that.
I always felt like the way you work is it's a reflection of your character.
Correct.
The one with my son being young and not going to too many shows yet, when he gets older, one of my made it moments to me is going to be when he goes, my dad made that, and I'm going to take a lot of pride in that moment.
Yeah, and hopefully you'll be right there with them, be able to enjoy those moments.
Yeah, we're going to continue doing shows this year.
Yeah. Which ones you thinking of doing? Give everybody an idea of what you're thinking.
Our first event for next year will be Southeastern Mini Truck and Nats. That's in Maggie Valley, North Carolina.
What's the dates on that?
That is at the end of April. I believe it's the weekend of the 23rd.
Okay.
It's a great show. It is submission. They already did a submission, but you can come as a spectator.
Wonderful.
They take up the whole town. It's a bunch of great people. I can't thank Jason Bell enough for supporting me and pushing my brand and just being a good person.
Is there anywhere that people can get information about the show?
Yeah, just like everything else, it has a Facebook page, Instagram page. Just look up Southeast Mini Truck and Nats.
Wonderful.
And then the other events that I'm for sure going to, I'm going to return to Scraping the Coast.
Hey, he's coming back to Mississippi.
I'm going to go to Alabama again.
Hey, he's going to go see Craig.
And I plan on having the roller there, and I'm planning on doing the same thing I did last year. Show off my pieces I have done, bring some blanks if people want to try,
Yep.
and just enjoy myself at the show. I know a lot of people, especially with the bead roller, they're very timid about purchasing one because they don't know what they're getting into.
Exactly.
Whether it's the machine itself, the dies. I had a lot of people come up to me and use the machine and have so much more confidence in their purchase from using the Mittler machine.
That's wonderful.
And just being able to have someone related to talk to about die setup, to talk to about what materials to use.
That's wonderful, and it's wonderful that you're there to do that.
You know, I'm hoping and pushing towards doing this full time and you know, being able to go to any event, any part of the country at any time. That would be my ultimate goal from here.
That would be wonderful. That really would.
I think this is a really good art that needs to continue to grow in any way that it can, and I think with the right people and the right focus, it's gonna keep growing.
It definitely is, and I think, you know, and having people like yourself involved, and just having you willing to come up here and, you know, spend time with us and just talk and just try to share your life in a little bit, you know, and share what we do. You know, doing things like this is what's going to continue to make the, you know, the sport or hobby or whatever you want to call it, kind of keep growing, and especially just the community of people that want to help. And I think that's the biggest thing. There's a lot of metalworking tools out there that people can get into and, you know, and use. But there's one thing about this one is it's quiet. It doesn't make a lot of noise.
Exactly.
It
doesn't take up a lot of space. It's mobile.
Yeah, and there's a group of people behind you that are, you know, believe it or not, that are basically young guys that are learning themselves a lot of this on their own and growing and learning and willing to share. You know,
Right.
it's not a forbidden art that you're not supposed to be taught.
Right.
You know, it's.
I had a lot of the same questions at the events this year, and it was, you know, how long you been doing this? And then they'd be surprised, and they would ask me how did you get this far, and I would tell them a big scrap pile of aluminum.
Yeah, exactly.
You learn from your mistakes, and instead of giving up, you just try to better yourself.
Every day.
But it does, you know, having this type of machine and this type of quality to work with, it does make it easier.
Yeah, it's nice that it's made in America too.
Yes.
You know.
Absolutely.
That's the one thing about this brand that always attracted me to it when I first came to them years ago, was the fact that they were an American-made brand, you know, and we started working together. And if you look around this wall, I mean, there's windows all the way around here, and if you're paying attention, they're building the machines right out there. That's it, you know, and if you take the class up here that we teach, it's in this right here, you know, and you're here in the facility with the people, and they're gonna work out there all night and all day, you know. Paul joked, the owner, yeah, he joked at it, how long can you stay? And he said, well, as long as you need. And then we all said, don't say that. And Paul's like, whoa.
Yeah.
Well, he's gonna sign him up for second shift. He was looking for somebody. But you know, I mean, this is where it's at.
Just having the chance to, I went down today and got to meet the person who's assembling the bead rollers.
Yeah.
To have the chance to show my appreciation to him and thank him for what he's doing, because I will admit to everybody right now, my machine changed my life. It gave me an outlet to grow, to help people in need, to show off my skills and what I'm passionate about. So my bead roller has definitely changed my life.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful. I know it kind of did the same for me. I mean, for me, I was doing a lot of metalworking and a lot of traveling, and it was just something that I was able to sit down and focus my energy on, and you know, and try to be creative in it. And it came, you know, fairly naturally for me to be able to do it. And then once I got used to doing it, it just became that relaxing thing that I do. You know,
Right. Exactly.
And fortunately for me, I was able to, you know, be able to create panels for people and create artwork that, you know, can last and people can keep and share and have.
Yeah, the one thing I've been trying to get used to is I had someone buy a piece at last Mini Nats, and it was a Praying Hands piece.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably about a month after the show. I get a picture on social media. It's hanging above their fireplace.
It's beautiful, isn't it?
And it's a good feeling, you know, that someone that is that proud of a piece of art that you made from scratch with your bead roller.
Exactly.
And it's just sitting there and they're proud of it.
You know, and it's something that'll last. And that's the neat thing about a lot of the things that are made with a bead roller. I kind of always looked at it when we would do lines or, you know, laying stuff out. I always looked at it the same as like pinstriping a car or something and then putting it under the clear, because it's there.
Yeah.
Like, these lines are going to be in the floorboard of that car forever. Like, it's there. You know,
right.
you put these in the seats, they're there. They're not coming out, like, unless we go back in and hammer them out. But I mean, what are we doing?
Right.
But you know, it's always a permanent kind of thing. You know, and then so once it's transfers into metal and turned into an artwork piece, it has some type of permanent, you know, value. It really does, and it kind of holds and stays where it's at because it's the craftsmanship that you put into what you did. You know what I mean?
The cool part that I learned this year is, like, say this piece, you know, if I didn't have a specific reason for it, you never know what's going to happen with it. I did a koi piece, and I talked to you about this this morning. I did a koi piece just to grow, just to get better at bead rolling, and I took it to every single event the entire summer. That ended up being the panel that I gave away to a young girl at the high school visit that I did.
Yeah, tell us about that. Yeah, the high school visit.
When I was at Mini Nats, one of Jason Bell's crew members was actually, he actually works with his wife at the high school. Well, he's a welding teacher, and they have a Mittler Brothers bead roller, and it ended up being the same exact machine that I have. So we do an auction at Mini Nats, and Bruce, the teacher, leans over to me and goes, "Hey man, do you think you could throw some together for my kids? You know, I have a machine, I don't know how to use it like you know how to use it. I'd really like for them to learn." I go, "Where are you located? Why don't I just come to the school?" So Mini Nats was in April, planned it out, and it was early August we were there. I was able to show 50 kids how to bead roll. They all had Mittler Brothers catalogs. Mittler Brothers was very cooperative. They told me anything I needed for the visit, they were going to support. They also went away with t-shirt hats with my logo on it. And Emily, the young girl that wrote a good essay, she was the one who took the koi piece home.
Oh, that's beautiful.
So for me, my thing is even if you're working on a panel just to better yourself, you might not really realize what meaning it's going to have when it's said and done.
For sure, I love that. I mean, it's a beautiful story you have there with that, and you know, and you go into that high school. It means a lot to see, you know, these young kids being able to touch, because I mean, the shop classes were taken out, you know?
Yeah.
Like, it's not really taught or cool to be, you know, have dirty fingernails and not stare at your phone every day, you know?
Right.
It's not really cool anymore to, you know, just want to work, you know? So it's
Yeah,
not...
I did have one kid. He was on his phone while I was teaching. So then when he got to the roller, he wasn't very had no clue what he was doing.
It wasn't as efficient as he thought he was.
Yeah.
Yeah, and unfortunately, you know, we live in a society where, you know, we're not using our hands as much as I think that we probably should, you know, and that's my opinion, but, you know, that's me where I'm at with that. But it's a beautiful thing when you can see young people being able to, you know, do something, like I said, learn something new and share
right.
with young people as well. I mean,
and I started those classes thinking teacher, because immediately those students need to realize that their teacher, given that effort, is the reason why I was there.
Oh yeah.
If he wouldn't have mentioned something to me, I would never know he had a Mittler Brothers bead roller.
And it's unbelievable that you were able to go there, you know, and work with them and be able to help them out.
Yeah, we'll be going right back to that school the week of Mini Nats.
Okay, so you will be back out there?
Yeah, we'll be back out there. I've had other schools reach out, and if I'm available to do it, I'm going to do it.
Yeah, and we'll have all your information in the bottom, and in the little clips, and we'll make sure everybody knows how to get a hold of you and kind of do your thing, get a hold of what you're doing.
I appreciate that.
Keep up with you. Well, is there any other shows or events that you're looking at working on right now, or?
This will probably be the slower part of the year. You know, where I'm at, it's not very, it's not very friendly to a car show.
Kind of cold up there a little bit right now, right?
But no, I primarily in October I tend to focus on our nonprofit and try to raise money with my panels and other things that we do. But once the spring rolls back around, that's when I'll start doing more events and hopefully do some events I haven't done before. I'd love to do more of like a hot rod show, good guys show.
Oh yeah,
It's just having those connections and those options to go there.
Yeah.
I feel that the mini trucking scene has definitely been very supportive of everything, whether it's Rose Metal Works, our nonprofit, just everything. And I can't thank everybody enough for that.
Yeah. Before we get into the nonprofit, because we are definitely going to get into that, how's your panel looking? Where are you at?
Doing good. I'm almost about done with the line work. You probably see through the reflection a little bit. Just working on all the small details. Not everything's going to have the tipping die line work on it. And then going to switch over to the stencil dies. Start with the same offset, run through the panel, and then to make it really pop, bring the offset out a little bit. But yeah, I'm almost done with the tipping die.
That's good though.
Yep.
That's good. Yeah.
And that's the thing. Anybody watching this, we're holding a conversation, and you can use this machine.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm at home with my AirPods in, just jamming out. My kid's right in front of me. I'm in a good place. It's fun. It's fun to do.
Exactly, and I'm the same way. I mean, my spot is kind of built around just this whole idea of just being able to relax and sit down and do this, and also being able to teach in that area is kind of the same vibe. I try to keep everything really, I want you to learn the same way I do it, and that's kind of the way I teach my class.
Right. Yeah, I've told, especially at the school visit, is I tell the kids, move the pedal, adjust your body, don't roll a line when you're uncomfortable.
Oh yeah.
Because that's when you're gonna mess up.
I mean,
it doesn't matter if it's Jamey, me, or anybody. If you're not comfortable, you're not going to. It's gonna show in your work.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, and that's why I sit in the school. And then if everybody kind of knows me, they know that I never wear a shoe. And then actually my pedal's actually sitting on a Milwaukee toolbox that I drug over here because I'm short.
Yeah.
And you were able to put yours up on the stand.
Yeah, so. This is literally my first panel I've ever rolled sitting down.
Yeah, you said that earlier. You were not familiar with sitting. After a few years, I got very familiar with sitting.
Yeah. I just need to get the right height stool, I guess.
Yeah. After a few more years, you'll find the right height.
Yeah.
Rolling.
So what's been your favorite piece that you've ever rolled?
Oh goodness, never asked me that question. Well, see, for me, there's a lot of them, and I'm that weird guy that wants to give this big long answer. But every time I got to a certain point in my life where I had a challenge or something that I wanted to roll and wanted to do, I would do my best to go for it. And I would challenge it, and a lot of the stuff that when I started, I couldn't say no to anything. I had to take everything on that came because that's what paid the bills.
Right.
Because it was the only job I had, and so I did a lot of stuff that I probably didn't want to do, but I did it because I liked to do it. And then when I did it, I was happy I did it. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so a lot of the panels that I look back on that frustrated me more than anything or bothered me, even though they might not have been artistically something that most people would have got a lot of likes on Instagram about, or somebody would look at it and say they like it. It's just weird panels really were mine, and it would be lettering or giant things. And one of the hardest pieces that I ever did, and I did 6 or 7 of them, was the giant Cadillac symbols, which kind of weird. I'm doing a Cadillac now, but it's got the ducks in the middle of it.
Right, the whole shield.
Yeah, the whole shield. And those shields would be like 36 inches long. and those ducks would be no bigger than your thumbnail.
Right.
And then you'd have to do all those cuts and twists, and so every bit of that had to pivot around that tip and die all the way from out here.
Yeah.
Because you've got to swing the whole thing.
Yeah.
And they would be very, 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 very challenging.
When I first got into this and started looking through pages and info and all that stuff, the only thing I saw when I saw you make those was the comments of how are you doing the little ducks?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and that was and I even had some guy kind of messaged me one day and said I did it with an engraver, and I told him no, and he got offended. They thought I was lying. I was like, man, look, dude, if I did, they look better than they do now. Like,
right.
They wouldn't have this problem or that problem in it, because obviously I see the flaws, and I'm just, it became one of those things where stuff like that became my happiness. I would try to find the hardest things and I would stress over it, and then I would do it, and then those would be the things that I love the most. But some of the more fun panels I did, there was a lot of the skull panels that had beards and stuff. Mm-hmm. Those became a blast. They were a lot of fun. Just because you could put a different skull face on there and then add a beard.
Just change it up a little bit.
Yeah, it was the same thing, but a little different, and those were a lot of fun to do because it was creative. And
the one thing I did 2 times this past summer, you guys helped me out with the stencils, the draw-on stencils. Mm-hmm. I used those all summer. Well, at the first mini nats and at Scrapin the Coast, they had obviously an auction to help raise money.
Yeah.
And I have blanks, and they're asking me, hey, can you make something for the auction? So I made the skull stencil. That's one of my favorites to do.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah. So I had it at Mini Nats, and the auction got pushed because of the weather. So I had my show logo on stage that people were looking at that they could bid on, and then the auction got moved up. So I'm like, wait a minute, I got a little more time.
Oh, so you went back for it?
So I went and said, you know what? I got a few hours. Why don't I roll this skull piece? Let people watch me. It ended up bringing even more money.
Nice. Nice.
It serves so many purposes, and that's why I enjoy doing the shows and the events.
Yeah. Of course.
And just being able to physically show people.
How to actually move the metal and see it come together, and that's what's so much fun. And I'll be honest, one of the funnier things to me is way more females will try it than males. If I've got a whole group of people sitting around, because everybody's cool, because heaven forbid you don't look cool, you know what I mean? And most women, well, they're just interested, you know what I mean? They're just,
right.
And I don't mean that in any derogatory way, towards a female, but they see it and they love it, and they want to see how it works. And if you offer them a chance, they'll grab a hold and go.
Right.
And it's probably one of my favorite things to do, is to just see people that you typically wouldn't normally enjoy. You think you would enjoy it, or actually the people that really would and really jump on it, and really go for it.
The one comment I made a lot at that high school visit is I told all the girls that were there, there's not a big female presence in this.
Oh.
And if you were to really devote yourself and learn how to do this, you're gonna stick out. You're gonna be the woman that's
Yeah. So if there's a female
rolling bead roll art.
Yeah, so we're looking for the female division. So
yes.
Let us know if you're out there. We'd love to see you come here and show us how to bead roll something and share it with us.
And that's the thing. Like I did Slamology this year. It's an indie. I had a couple that they run a show in Florida. Well, she was the first female to ever bead roll on my machine at an event. Mm-hmm. And I told her that, and she's like, "Are you serious?" Like, she took a lot of pride in that. I get home from the show and she messaged me, I got 15 women that want to bead roll. Can you come down to Florida?
There you go.
It's,
so
and that's put yourself out there.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the best part of the machine. It's not as intimidating as most people think it is as soon as they touch it and they start messing with it. You know? And like you're saying, I mean, it's a gender neutral tool.
Exactly.
Say, And anybody can do it. I mean, one of the fun parts about teaching the classes at my house is when a lot of gentlemen will bring their sons, You know, their younger sons are 14, 15 years old, or all the way up to, you know, 18, 19, 20. Mm-hmm. And they're in their spot in their life where they didn't go to college, but they wanted to learn a trade, and their dads are just pushing them into different spots and giving them different opportunities to learn different things and see what it takes to, you know, try stuff. And that's the fun stuff about those classes, is working with the younger kids and
Yeah, and I've had a lot of people ask me, you know, about my son Ethan, and you know, are you going to have him do this? I'm going to have him do whatever he's passionate about, but showing him what you can do when you follow your passion, that's the key part.
That's right. Well, talking about passion leads me to another thing that I'd like to talk to you about, and that's your foundation. And a little bit about what really kind of got you going a little bit deeper into this. Tell me a little bit more about that, if you don't mind.
You prefer me to stop rolling for that one?
It's up to you, or you can keep going, or however you feel about it. Or
well, I think I'm done with the tip and die. So
well, if you're feeling comfortable there, then we'll just switch dies, and you can kind of start in that.
All right. Yeah, let me finish up the sleeve.
Take your time.
So in 2015, my wife Sarah Rose, she passed away from breast cancer. She was diagnosed that year prior, right around Thanksgiving. In that span of time, I lost her and her father. Her father had a sudden heart attack. The last memory that I have with her father was watching YouTube, and it was watching videos of bead rolling. We sat in the basement. We had to go back to the hospitals. We were at the house. We sat in the basement. Sarah was resting. Turned on YouTube, and I've told this story on a couple podcasts. Turned on YouTube, and Lazi, his videos started to pop up.
Yeah.
And Dave looks at me and he goes, "Are these going to keep playing?" I go, "Dave, anything bead rolling related is going to start popping up." So he's just like a little kid, just sat there and watched it. And it was a great little moment for the three of us. Ethan was in his little cozy coop, you know, walking around and everything, and we started going up the stairs. We had to go to the appointment, and Dave's yelling at me down the stairs. He's like, "Yeah, man, find a machine. We'll you know, get a bead roller. We'll work on the Chevy Luv. You know, let's do this." So he's passionate about it. 2 days later, he passed away. I had that memory with him, and I felt there was a reason why I had that memory with him. After Sarah had passed, I waited a couple months. I didn't invest in anything right away just because of what happened. But I knew I had that moment with her father for a reason, and Sarah always supported me as far as my passion, as far as expressing myself, and she knew something was there. She knew that I wanted to do more, and that's what I'm trying to do with this. Whether it's Rose Metalworks, Spreadin the Luv. But once I realized that I could raise money with the panels that I was making and make a difference in people's lives, we officially went legit this past year. We are an official nonprofit. I have, you know, all the information if people do want to reach out. Thanks to people like Jason Bell, Greg Miller, all the promoters, it's really gained a lot of momentum to where even just mini nats alone, we've raised over $40,000 just in a year. Not thankfully, but COVID pushed mini nats further into the year prior. So we had mini nats pretty much 6 months apart instead of a year apart. He gave me that platform to be on that stage and, you know, showcase my skills. What I did was I bead rolled their whole entire show logo. If I remember correctly, it went for about $2,000.
Beautiful.
And just being on that stage and finding that piece and knowing that, you know, because the thing with Spreadin the Luv is we're directly helping people. It's, you know, I don't have anything against any societies or anything like that, but knowing that we give people direct relief, that gives me peace. And just having Rose Metalworks, Spreadin the Luv, everything kind of meshed together, and, you know, having everybody's support, having your support since I started bead rolling, it's been a blessing in my life, and I couldn't be any happier.
Good.
we're going to continue to help people. We're trying to get it more of a structure, you know, when people reach out, maybe have like a form to fill out, you know, what your person's situation is, who you would like to nominate, and then just go from there. Honestly, coming here, I had a message from someone already. So we're always willing to help, and I hate to say, you know, if it's a certain dollar amount, but, you know, even if you just need to talk, you know, I went through a lot of situations that most people don't go through. So there's not a whole lot of people to relate. And if it's any way, whether it's financially, personally, you know, just a phone conversation, reach out to me, and I'll help in any way that I can. Because the biggest thing when everything happened to my family was everybody helped. And Sarah always, whether it was a check, cash, or anything, she's like, we're not keeping this money. We're going to pay this forward. We're going to do the right thing. She didn't have the opportunity to do that. This is my opportunity to pay it forward for her and show our son who his mother was. And I'm thankful for my coworkers in that time. I'm thankful for everybody in the mini truck scene, and, you know, my friends and family, because from their support at that time of my life, it allowed me to carry on. It allowed me to invest in myself and my future and my son's future. Honestly, I probably wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for that support. So I take every opportunity that I can get to help people around me that I can, because you never know when you're going to need their support. But I thank you for letting me share that part of my life, and just thank you for everything.
Thank you for sharing it. I mean, it means a lot. You know, a lot of us know the story and, you know a little bit about it, but hearing it just from you again, you know, and then just feeling the energy and what it is. I mean, it's a very emotional moment. You know, it is for me too. You know, and I thank you for sharing that with everyone. And I mean, everything he's doing out here, it's really from the heart for him. You know, and
I've gotten that compliment a lot. Sorry, I'm starting to.
No, it's very genuine. It's a genuine thing, and, you know, when we paused for a minute and had a talk, and I said, hey, let's sit down, let's get it again, and let's have this conversation, and let's do it, you know, because this is what life's about. You know, we've got to have these conversations sometimes to help other people, you know, and help see it. You know, we all have struggles in life. And
the one compliment I got at all the shows is, you know, a lot of people would walk up to me and they go, Sean, if you're passionate about something, we can hear it in your voice and the way you carry yourself. And that's all I'm trying to get across is, you know, whatever you're a part of, just commit to it and enjoy it. You know, don't wait for this special moment. Enjoy every moment, and just grow as an individual, as a brand, anything, and it'll give you a lot of peace, and it'll give you a lot of purpose.
Exactly. You know, and for me, the Lord has been able to give that to me in my life. You know, it's just been able to give me that peace and understanding of, you know, let it go. Come back.
And I'm extremely happy for you.
Yeah, but thank you, and you know, I'm just glad you're here, and I thank you for sharing that story with us. I really do. We're gonna switch out these rolls real quick and move on and get this thing knocked out. What you thinking?
Yep, we got about one more line, and then it's stencil die time.
All right. You got your stencil rolls on there?
Yep.
All right, I'm gonna load mine up on here.
I did a first pass, kind of get a feel for where I want to go for, you know, a full run of all my lines. A piece like this, I always try to just run through, do an even pass, and then work the areas I want to be more pronounced.
Okay.
And as Jamey said in other videos before, different pressure, different offset, that's how you get your variation.
Yep. It's all about the pressure and the gap. You know, you just gotta watch that gap between the two rolls, because we're just pitching metal. I mean, that's all we're doing. We're just pinching it between these two rolls, and no matter what the shape is of the roll, it's still going to get pinched and, you know, shoved between it. And with these collars on here, you can adjust in and out and find that happy medium what you want for that line that you're looking to run.
Right.
And these stencil rolls are really, really good for having that small detail that you can get in there and kind of flex around with. And then the offset, where you can flip them around, really gives you a bigger opening. It really helps out a lot with that. So
I think it was one video I referenced to a lot. You were at Mike Finnegan's house.
Yeah.
And you had the panel on the edge of the table.
Yeah.
And you brought it out. brought it back in and showed the difference. I think sometimes it's the more simple you explain things, the easier it is for people to understand.
Yeah,
and I did share that video so other people could see it.
That's wonderful, thank you. Yeah. And if you know Mike Finnegan, go ahead and leave a comment and ask him why he does not use his bead roller. No, I love you, Mike. I love you. He knows that. It was funny when I got back out there. I was on the road a little bit this summer, and when I was back out there, and I saw this machine. He said, man, I hadn't got a chance, man. He gave me all the good ones. He's trying. He's getting good at it. He's getting good at a lot of fabricating.
Yeah, it's been nice to see his build with the C10.
Oh yeah, his C10. We went back and made a little bezels for it. It was fun.
Yeah.
Got to spend a little time with it. But yep, so I've just got my stencil rolls on as well, and that's kind of what I would grab for because it's going to give me a nice tight little line, and I'm just going to chase around this outline of this Cadillac logo with mine over here and just kind of work around. Now when I go, I always just try to move it real slow at first. I kind of try to work a few small panel, like little areas, little spots, and try to develop what pressure I like. I think that's
right. It all depends on what you're rolling and what look you're going for.
Exactly.
So there's a big difference from a full-on tiki panel compared to Cadillac lettering.
Oh yeah. And and for me, I just try to work the first pass. It's really just trying to find that depth and hoping I don't mess up. And that's really why I make multiple passes on everything I do. It's just that first one is just a trial run that's got a decent amount of pressure on there, so you can definitely see it move. But it's really just trying to learn these lines and see what you can spin it around and slowly stretch it up. And that's kind of always been the one thing that I always recommend is just take your time, open your gaps, and just kind of watch your pressure. And not everything has to have the same pressure,
Yeah.
This knob, you tighten it down to one way, loosen it up a little bit if you feel like you need to. Kind of, work your way around your bends. And then, the other thing is if you feel like you gotta stop, let you put off that pedal. That's kind of always been my thing. Like, if you get nervous or you think you can't make a turn, just stop.
Yep. I think it's one video when I first started getting into this, you said don't look away from your line, because the second you look away from your line or worry about a mistake you might have made, it's gonna get worse.
Yeah. I mean, you're gonna make mistakes all the way through the whole panel, and no matter how good you are, because you're gonna be looking for that in your own self, hopefully. And so whenever you make a mistake or whatever, you just gotta let it go, because if you're hung up on that past, you will be missing the future. That's just a good way to live life, I think.
Yeah, the one suggestion I had at a lot of the shows, because a lot of people are like, well, where do you start?
Yep.
Depending on your design, sometimes it might be a little confusing, where your die is and where, it's going to raise here, it's going to raise there.
Yeah.
I always tell people, if you're doing, an object, just do the perimeter, go around the edges where it's going to be that direction. Just like you're doing with your letters, just go around the same direction and just get that concept.
Yeah, just get you a nice little flow going there. Figure out exactly where everything's going to be and needs to stay at. But for me, I kind of like to just get the flow of the panel. I think I don't worry so much about trying to follow the rules of this letter goes next and this goes next and that has to be over here because I rolled this. I kind of look at rolling panels as more just forming ridges.
Yep.
And this is all just ridges that we've got to take and relieve, and press and push into another ridge and have somewhere for that metal to relax and go into. And if something's overworked or underworked, you can, just build up a ridge and push it in there, or push it out. And so for me, I just kind of just work with the flow of what I think the panel needs as I go along.
I told a lot of people the last couple of years, this is a machine and hobby you want to set aside time for. You don't want to rush anything you're doing on a bead roller.
Oh yeah, I mean, kind of like I was saying at the beginning when we were talking about pinstriping. It's like pinstriping on a car that you're going to clear it on. Yeah, those lines are going to be there. Yeah. You're going to see them. So it's important. So you can't really rush. You don't rush pinstriping. If you're not in the mood, you sure don't want to pull some lines on the car.
Right.
And I kind of just say the same thing about this. If you're not in the mood, it's not going to work out right.
Take that time.
Yeah, sometimes you just need to walk away, or sometimes you need to switch it up for a day.
Yeah, and I tell you, sometimes, you know, like when you say switch it up or kind of, you know, like take walk away, one thing I find that helps me a lot is I'll step back from a panel that, you know, we're working on it, what do you say, a foot and a half from our face.
Yeah.
But prospectively, when you stare at this panel, you're never really going to see it a foot and a half from your face unless you're really up on it, you know?
Right.
And it's going to typically be hanging on a wall, and your perspective is going to be somewhat of 5 to 6 to 10 feet, 8 feet away. And so when you're doing a panel like what you're doing right now, I find that it's really good for me to step away and figure out where I'm seeing it at that angle, and then translate what I see from that angle back to where I'm at now, a foot away, you know, and try to anticipate those lines again.
Right.
And then if I can't figure that out, and that just kind of frustrates me, sometimes I'll take a picture of it, and I'll take my cell phone out and I'll just put it up on the easel, and I'll take a picture of it, and I'll walk away, and then give it a little bit of time, let my head clear, and then I'll open it up. Instead of looking at the panel again, I'll look at the picture. And I'll look at the picture because the picture's going to give it to me from a totally different dimension, a totally different angle and diameter, and it won't look anything like the way I was looking at it a foot from my face or 8 feet away from it where I was staring at that flaw that I thought I was trying to fix, you know what I mean? I'm going to see the overall perspective as it will be seen, you know, usually from the first time for most people, you know?
Right.
And it just kind of resets my mind a little bit. So
That's the one thing with bead rolling, you know, you're the man of the machine. So everybody's human.
yeah,
And I've learned that, and you know, you do want to do your best job on something you're doing, but if you walk away from it in a positive way, you know, if the person's happy with the piece regardless, and you learn something from it, I think that's always a plus.
oh yeah, definitely. You know, and I think I'm always looking every day to try to learn something new. You know, I'm always trying to find that new something or another that I'm always striving for to. So when I go to bed at night, I feel like I've done more. You know, I did something.
Yeah. You woke up for a good reason.
Exactly. Like I moved the ball forward in some way. It's always kind of the goal. It's that stepping stone for the next one. And, you know, going back to saying we were talking about your panels, my favorite panel was, you know, like I said, a lot of challenging ones. But for you, tell me some of your favorite. What are some of the most favorite ones you've done?
I would say one of the more memorable ones was that first mini Nats panel.
Okay.
Because that was my canvas to show my worth.
Yeah.
You know, Jason gave me that chance to.
Well, I don't know if show your worth might have been the answer because I think we probably already saw it. But I do like your word.
The fact that it was, I mean, to fit the whole show logo in a panel, it means you can't mess up the whole thing.
That's right.
And you know, to southeast about this tall.
That's right.
In one try, you know, it's a little intimidating, but you know,
made you better though, didn't it?
Yeah, it made you know, something like this. I can hold a conversation and it doesn't even bother me. But you know, that piece made me feel like that was brought, you know, a special part of my life. But I thoroughly enjoy doing the praying hands.
Yeah, they're a lot of fun.
I feel like a lot of people connect to it, and you know, you can, just like how you were talking with the skull panels, you can put variations on it, whether it's the way the hands look more realistic. You have the skull ones here today. Just those have been the ones I've connected to the most. I raised money with some of those too as well.
Yeah, it's a beautiful story, you know. It's a beautiful story. If you get a chance, you should read the story of Praying Hands. It's a beautiful story about, you know.
I actually, the way I learned it was your interview on C10 Talk.
Oh, okay. So yeah, I was gonna say sometimes I give it. I was trying to.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, it's a beautiful thing about the brothers sacrificing for each other and giving it. You know, and that was what I actually started doing first. I was bead rolling things that I thought were cool or I liked, and then people would ask me about stuff, or people would help me or promote me or tell somebody else to buy something from me, or heck, just all around being my friends at the time. You know what I mean? And just really supporting what I was doing. So, and there was no other way I could really say thank you, on MySpace.
That's yeah. I've turned around and sent somebody a panel that I thought they would like, because it's a pretty big thank you card.
Yeah, so it became kind of like my thank you card to a lot of people that were there for me when I needed them, And,
yeah.
And even when I got into teaching classes, it was one of my first things I had people roll. And the reason why is, well, one, it's kind of technical because there's some technical twist in there, and you got to know what side you got to roll on, what side to push on. But it was also to try to help everybody understand that story of love and sharing, and giving and doing, and hoping that they would push it forward. And that's really what that one is for me. It's just kind of about pushing it forward.
Yeah, I think, especially with like an episode like that on C10 Talk, you get a lot of perspective on where people have come from and why they do what they do. And
yes, C10 Talk, Ronnie.
Yeah.
If you guys aren't listening, it's Ronnie.
Yeah.
Shout out to Ronnie. Sorry.
If you have more people to relate to, then you have more resources to grow.
Yeah. Everything jobbing over there for you?
It's different being on a newer roller and not your own. But for sitting down for the first time and being at Mittler Brothers, I couldn't be happier.
Yeah, it's always there's a learning curve for everybody, no matter who you are and what you are. When you jump on somebody else's or somebody's machine, there's always that moment. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I remember the first time I ever had to do it. It was on Spike TV, and they had a big boom right on top of me, and I was scared to death. And they had a big camera in front of me. Oh, that was nerve-wracking. But yeah, you kind of realize after a little while, after you get into it, you start to feel that each one of them have their own little bit of characteristics, and each die has its own little characteristic.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's kind of, we made a video today, I believe, about taking the shafts out or taking the block out and kind of working on it and greasing them up and tuning up your machine more or less.
Right. Yeah, even the kids at the William Blount High School, you had a machine that wasn't touched at all, pretty much since they've had it.
Yep.
Compared to a roller that's been worked for almost 2 years.
And what a machine it is.
Yeah.
I always say a nice, good broken one is way better than a brand new one. I hate to say that as somebody that sells them, but you just got a feel to them, they really do, and especially when they've been taken care of and they've really been, used. And yours has your own characteristics that nothing else is going to feel like.
Right. And quite a few unique stickers.
Yeah, I think yours is covered in a few, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah, they kind of come like guitars or something. I don't know. They become your kind of just a personality piece for you. Something that's just represents who you are.
Yeah, I'd say if anything, I'm pretty excited about. Pretty excited the fact that I got my quad press.
Yeah, I saw that the other day.
Yeah, I really would like to, dabble into seats.
Yeah.
One of my things that I really want to have is, I enjoy doing my framework, but be able to have inserts and accents and like you're saying, just change things up very subtly.
Sure.
That's a pretty big deal,
Yeah, the quad press is a lot of fun. I've got the double. I don't have the 2 extensions, but I do enjoy it for my louvers a good bit.
Yeah. Yeah, I did a practice piece and was like a little kid seeing all the louvers.
Yeah, louvers are fun. Louvers are good times. And they look neat around bead rolling too. You know, structural bead rolling looks really good when it's actually in there to outline something like that. You know.
Yes.
And I mean, for me, I think if you're gonna put a line in there, then it's gonna go somewhere. Let it accent or accentuate something. You know. And,
Exactly.
and around louvers or dimpled eyes or flared holes or.
I don't think I was even 2 feet in the door today, and I saw, you know, some display pieces up front. Some had louvers, some of the seats you made in the waiting area. And
Yeah.
I could sit there and look at that stuff all day.
Yeah, they took all day. They were fun, yeah. Thank you, though.
I'd like to auction off either, probably with the time frame, do a bucket seat, maybe do the lettering for mini nats, and just,
Sure,
you know, just change it up for this show. And
sure. Maybe give away a best interior award or something.
yeah, exactly.
I've done a few of those back when I was younger. They're a lot of fun to do.
I have a friend. He goes by Shade Tree Shop.
Uh-huh.
I know him from the Chevy Loves. I figured it'd be something cool. I could do the actual seat itself, and then he can,
Heck yeah.
you know, kind of promote both businesses with that. He can do the fishing, and he's a very good guy. I'm the type of person, I want to see everybody grow around me.
Yeah. Yeah, a buddy of mine, Thomas Paps, Cold Hard Art, and we did a little thing like that where I did a seat and he did a metal sculpture, and we did it for Make-A-Wish a few years ago at PRI.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I watched the show he was just on.
Yeah.
I was happy for him.
Oh yeah. Shout out to Tom.
Yeah, he's
He's not my twin. Kind of.
I'll say this though, what he does, his work's inspiring.
Oh yes.
Very inspiring.
Inspiring individual, beautiful. Him and Josh Weldon from the Fabricator, you know, welder assassin. Unbelievable. So how's that taking? Looking pretty good.
Just trying to do what, like you said, just
Kick it around a little bit.
yeah, get it moving. Don't go too crazy where it warps the panel. Just take my time on it.
Yeah. Well, I think we're gonna go ahead and start calling this one pretty good. I mean, I know you could probably sit and go after that one forever.
Right.
And I believe we will get you some good photos of this thing when we're done. Some good clips of it all, but I'd like to thank you for coming and spending time with us and doing our first little interview with between Two Bead Rollers.
Yeah.
Spend time with Jeff, and Jeff's behind the counter back there, and thank Jeff for everything he does for us back
Thank you,
here.
Jeff.
But yeah, thank you again, and we look forward to everybody. Thank you for watching, and if you have any questions about what we did today, or like and subscribe and do all that wonderful stuff. All his information will be at the bottom. All my information will be at the bottom. Mittler Brothers stuff will be there. And if there's anything you guys need, just give us a holler. And thank you for watching. We appreciate it.
It's all about the knees.
It's all about them knees, boys. I've seen a lot of old men cut. They backs hurt, they shoulders hurt, the arms hurt, they feet hurt, but them knees don't work right. It don't matter.
Cricket.
They done.